Hey guys, it's Hogan here, and in this video we're going to be reviewing Cloudways and explain exactly what it is and how is it different from other hosting companies. We're also going to be taking a look inside the dashboard to show you guys everything and how it all works, the benefits and features, as well as the disadvantages of using Cloudways, because I know that a lot of people might be on the fence whether or not to switch to Cloudways. I want to talk about some of the cons and negative sides of Cloudways so that you are able to really understand when should you get it and when shouldn't you get it. We're also going to touch on the speed and performance. So we're going to compare it to some other top hosting companies so you can decide which one is for you and not for you. So I actually came across Cloudways around 2 years ago when I wanted to switch web host. I wanted something that was like faster, yet affordable, yet something that I could sort of manage. And I came across Cloudways and my first impression of it was I didn't actually know if I could host my WordPress website there because it looks so different from what I was generally used to. I was generally used to like regular shared hosting companies where you purchase the plan and then you get access to the service. So with Cloudways, it's a little bit different. They're a managed cloud hosting platform. So they've created this sort of custom platform that have connected us to some of the major cloud hosting infrastructures. For example, DigitalOcean, AWS, which is Amazon's cloud service, Vultr, Google Cloud, and Linode. So these are sort of major cloud infrastructures, and you can go there directly and set up your servers and then host your website for around half the price of what you get on Cloudways. But you don't get the sort of managed experience that most people are probably used to if you're switching from a regular shared hosting company. So you get things such as 24/7 chat support, managed security, automated backups, monitoring. You also get sort of one-click installations for your applications such as WordPress. So you get a much more familiar experience, but it's still a little bit different to your regular shared hosting company. So the first difference is that the platform is different. So with Cloudways, you don't pay upfront. You get access to the platform in a 3-day free trial, which looks something like this. And then you add the server. So basically you have the option to choose which company to go with. With other hosting companies such as like Bluehost, SiteGround, and Hostinger, you sort of have to pay upfront. So you select from one of 3 different plans and you purchase your domain and your hosting together, normally in like a 24-month or maybe like a 12-month commitment. And then you get access to the platform where you install WordPress. So with Cloudways, you get access with the free trial, and then you're able to select the infrastructure. So for example, you go over here and you can select WordPress or WooCommerce or any other PHP application. So let's say WordPress over here, and we could do like website name, and then we could just do server name. And here you can choose the infrastructure, and then you can also choose the server size that you need as well as the server location, right? So you're able to choose the infrastructure. These ones here, so with SiteGround and other hosting companies, they either have their own sort of server infrastructure or maybe they've partnered up with some major companies as well, but they don't really allow you the option to choose. So for example, SiteGround, they have the infrastructure on Google Cloud, but it's sort of just pre-packaged together and you don't have that option to select anymore. Let's go back over here. And here we're able to select the server size depending on the type of website that you want to build, as well as how much traffic you're getting, as well as how many websites that you want to host. So for each sort of server that you create, you are not limited to how many websites that you can actually install on that server, right? It's unlimited. So you can install unlimited applications on there. It really just depends on how much resources that you use. So generally, if you're selecting the 1 GB plan, for example, is $10 per month, you can have several low traffic websites there completely fine. For example, I have around 6 or 7 local business websites all on just the 1 GB server, and I'm paying around $11 per month. So for me, it's like a really great deal because you get really high performance hosting and you don't have a limit of how many websites you can hold in the server. However, if you're building more, maybe like a more server intensive website, like a learning management system, then perhaps you'll probably need like at least a 2 GB plan, or like an e-commerce store that is already getting significant amounts of traffic. Then you may need a little bit of bigger plan. I'll also include a document that they've actually sent me regarding like how many page views can each server size handle, right? So you can actually select the right plan for your needs. But I also have a separate tutorial where I show you guys how to which server to actually choose and things like that as well. So for example, once you've chosen your server, for example, DigitalOcean, you can also select the location. So generally with Cloudways, they have a lot more locations that you can choose from. So as you can see, they have a ton more locations, especially with Vultr. They got quite a few different locations. So this is actually amazing if you are a web agency and you have different clients all around the world. Then you're able to launch multiple servers on just your same account, and then you can have your clients from Australia in just one server. You could have your clients in United States in one server, so you can have them in like separate buckets and things like that. And yeah, I just feel like you got so much control, and you also get really high performance. So once you've actually launched the server, then let's just go back to the server over here, and here we can access our applications, right? So that's like the difference. As you can see, like with the platform, the second difference is that Cloudways focuses in just on cloud hosting. Regular shared hosting companies mainly focus on shared hosting. They do have dedicated hosting and VPS hosting, but they don't offer the same sort of platform like Cloudways where you actually get to choose the infrastructure. So the difference between cloud hosting and shared hosting is that shared hosting is generally like one server, one physical server that's shared among multiple users, and multiple users will have multiple websites. So generally that's a little bit less performance. Your website's going to load not as fast as cloud hosting, because cloud hosting, you sort of get dedicated resources. So cloud hosting is sort of like several physical servers interconnected, and then it is sort of generating this virtual private server, which is sort of dedicated just for your websites only. So a good analogy is that shared hosting is sort of like a bus, you're sharing with other people. Cloud hosting is sort of like your own car. You're just carrying you and your own passengers, or which is like your websites, right? So both of them can do the same thing, right? They get you to the same destination. One of them is just a little bit more high performance, which is cloud hosting generally. And also cloud hosting is going to be more scalable, generally more reliable as well. So those are the two main differences of Cloudways to other hosting companies. You can also read a little bit more about them. What I generally recommend most people is to get started for free and check out the platform and actually install a copy of WordPress and actually test it out yourself. So I'm going to show you guys. So once you've actually set up the server, the application will be installed as well. So here, they'll also give you a test or staging URL. So you can click onto it and you can test the speed. You can start building your websites completely for free for 3 days. You can also move your existing sort of WordPress website over without taking it offline. And you can use a simple migration plugin which they've created. I do have a tutorial to show you guys how to actually do that. So make sure to follow that video if you do want to, try that, but I'm not going to show you guys in this video. But you can move it over really easily and you can test everything. You can also copy the URL and you can do some speed tests on tools.pingdom.com, and you can check out the speed yourself. So go over here, let's just go San Francisco and start test. And you can check out the sort of back end speed. It's going to be a lot faster than what you probably are used to. In terms of performance, I've also compared it to a lot of other companies, for example, SiteGround, Hostinger, HostGator, as well as I looked at all the plans on Cloudways, and we also compared the Kinsta Starter plan, the Name Hero Plus Cloud plan, WPX, Namecheap. In terms of the speed, you're going to find that they are going to be the fastest in terms of load times, because I tested the speed against I think 7 different locations, and it loads, most of the servers on Cloudways loads around 1.2 to 1.3 seconds on average, right? So these are really, really fast servers, and you can test that out yourself. So let's go back over here, Pingdom. So as you can see, that loads in 0.2 seconds. So that's really, really fast and really amazing. So if we go back over here, I'm going to show you guys some of the more features. So you can click on staging management, and what the staging management does is that you can create a exact copy of your live website, and then that's going to create a duplicate of it. And then what you can do is, if you want to make changes to your website, make changes on the duplicate website. And once everything is working fine, nothing is breaking, then you can push those changes to your live server. So generally, if you're building like a website, sometimes you may update a plugin or a theme, and sometimes it's going to break the website. It may go offline. So the staging management is a really useful feature of Cloudways. So there's also monitoring for the application, bot protection. The domain management is where you add in your domain name. So I guess a negative side of Cloudways is that they don't include domain registration. So with a lot of other hosting companies, you can get your domain name, for example, yourname.com, together with your hosting plan, and you don't have to connect everything because it's already pre-connected. However, with Cloudways, it's not pre-connected. You have to purchase your domain name from a domain registrar, for example, on GoDaddy or Namecheap or Google Domains, and then you have to add your domain over here, and then you'll need to basically change the DNS settings. So it's not too hard to do. It literally takes like 1 minute to connect, but it is an extra step. So if you're a beginner, then that may not be like the best, right? So it may not be the best option if you're creating your first website. But if you are wanting to switch to a faster web host and you want like to upgrade from your shared hosting provider right now, then I think Cloudways is something that you should definitely take a look at. They've also got an SSL certificate, so it's really easy to actually install the SSL certificate, which is the lock icon over here, which for most websites these days you'll require that, especially for an e-commerce store. It's really, really easy to install, and it's free as well. You also got the backup and restore, so you can also do on-demand backups. So one thing that I want to mention is that they also do a external backup of your server and your website. So it does cost a little extra. So it's like $0.033 per gigabyte. So generally I pay around 50 cents for that per month. So it is an extra cost that you have to take into consideration. With a lot of other companies, sometimes it is included as well, like with the shared hosting plans. And you've also got the application settings, migration tools. So they've also created a plugin, easy to migrate your website over. You can also go over here and you can also request a migration. So you click on add-ons and I think you can request a free migration. I think over here, application migration, right? So that is really good. And with the Cloudways, you don't get a free CDN. So let's go back over here. If you do want to add a CDN, which is integrated over here, it is an extra $1 per 25 gigabyte application. So again, that's a sort of added cost, sort of like a con to Cloudways as well. So you can also access the server, so you can sort of control it. And as you can see, they don't have the regular sort of cPanel, if you guys are used to that. They don't have like the file manager, but you can access the files using the FTP, such as FileZilla. So over here, you can also manage so you can click on monitoring and you can see how many resources you're using for your website, and then you can scale up to the bigger servers if you need to as well. So you can click on manage services. You can restart things if you need to. Sometimes you may need to restart or purge the varnish, or you may need to restart these services, so you have control over that. You can also update like the PHP over here as well as the upload limits and things like that. So go to packages and you can have control over these things. Security, so you can also basically block certain IP addresses or allow certain IP addresses. For vertical scaling, you have total control, so you don't have to contact customer support if you do need to sort of scale up your server. For example, sometimes you may have more traffic on your website and you may need to scale up. You can do that all yourself over here. So with some of the infrastructures on Cloudways, for example, DigitalOcean, Vultr, and Linode, you can't scale down. You'll have to clone the server into the smaller server and then change your DNS settings. With the AWS and Google Cloud, you can scale up and you can also scale down without sort of taking the website offline, without cloning your website and things like that. So that's something to take into consideration when choosing your company to go with. So here you can also take the backups. So SMTP is basically where you sort of set up your Elastic email and the sort of transactional emails. So it is an extra step, but you'll have to do that with regular shared hosting anyway. And also, if you do need a hand, you have access to their really easy to use sort of chat system over here. You can send them a message. They also have probably one of the best documentations that I've seen with web host. Everything that you want to do, like, it's all documented and you can follow everything step by step. Also, a lot of people have said that their support has improved, and honestly, it has improved a lot. They've also changed to, I think this is like the intercom system as well with the chat support, which a lot of other hosting companies also use. I think Hostinger uses, Kinsta also uses that, Name Hero also uses that. So it's quite a popular sort of chat system over here, and it's really easy to contact them. Not a lot of web hosting companies actually have their chat support at such an easy to access location. I remember like SiteGround, you have to click definitely a few buttons to actually get to live chat. So this is definitely one of the positives of Cloudways, easy to access chat support, and they've got the live chat as well as the support ticket system. Now, if you do want phone support, that is an added cost, and I think that's targeted at more enterprise customers. That's cost around, I think, $500 per month. I personally haven't tried it, so I can't really comment on the quality, but the chat support is really good, and I think sufficient for most people because you're sort of like debugging things on the screen anyway. Now, another thing I want to mention is that they don't provide emails. So with a lot of shared hosting companies, they do provide domain emails for free and you sort of get unlimited. But with Cloudways, that's an add-on service. They've partnered up with Rackspace, so you can actually set it up within Cloudways, which is super awesome. I do also have a separate video to show you guys exactly how to do that, and also forward your emails to Gmail so that you can manage everything from your Gmail inbox. So if that's something that you are on the fence about, because that was something that was concerning for me when I wanted to switch over to Cloudways, it's actually quite easy to do, but it's an added cost of $1 per month per inbox. Okay, so if you want to create like 10 inboxes, then it's going to cost $10 per month. There is another way around it where you can get sort of cheap and affordable hosting and route your emails through there. So for example, you can get your emails at Hostinger, and then you can basically create up to 100 domain emails. So you can also create your emails over here and host them here, even if you host your websites over here. Or you can get like Google Workspace or things like that as well. So the other thing is that they don't include any hack or malware removal. So if you're considering Cloudways, you probably are looking at Kinsta or WPX. So these companies do actually include that with their plans. So basically the main difference is that, with these companies, they do have a limit of how many websites that you can host per plan. For example, for the starter plan, you can only host one WordPress installation. So you do have a huge limitation there. So if you have 10 websites, then it's already going to cost $200 per month. So that's why they're able to actually include that there. With Cloudways, it's not included. So if you do want that, then you do have to purchase that from an external company, for example, Security or any other sort of malware removal company. Normally costs around $100 or $150 per year. So you do have to note that, with Kinsta, if your website's hacked already, they charge, I think, $100 to remove that. So over here, if you're migrating an infected website. So something to note as well. So that's pretty much it for my Cloudways review. Now, who is Cloudways for and who's it not for? So if you're creating your first website, for example, you're creating like a simple business type of website, like a portfolio type of website where you have your services, maybe your portfolio, a little blog, and your contact form and things like that, and you're not quite sure about how much traffic you're going to be getting, then I don't think Cloudways probably is a great option for you, because it's going to cost around $12 or so per month, and that's going to cost around $150 per year. You can get sort of cheaper web hosting, for example, at Hostinger. If you want to create like a single website, then it only costs around $2 per month if you go for their 48-month plan. So the 48-month plan is around $100 or so. So that's around $25 per year, and you're going to be saving a ton of money. So obviously the performance is not going to be as good as Cloudways, but like I said, you're not quite sure about your traffic needs and things like that. But if you're creating your first website and you sort of are expecting you're getting a ton of traffic, perhaps you built a huge social media following and you're creating an e-commerce website to sell your merchandise, then I think Cloudways might be a good option as well. If you're ready to do a little bit of work in terms of connecting a domain and setting up your emails, then I think it might be a good option. So if you want to create like sort of more resource intensive website, like an e-commerce website with hundreds of products, or a learning management system, or any type of website like that, then I think Cloudways could be a option for you as well. It's just like if you were to buy a computer, sometimes you need the computer just for watching videos or browsing the internet, buying tickets and things like that. On the other hand, you may have people who want it for editing and gaming, and you need a better computer. So Cloudways is that better computer. So yeah, so think about what you want to build and how much traffic you're going to be getting, then and then choose accordingly. So I wouldn't recommend if you wanted like better performance to move from a shared hosting provider to another shared hosting provider, because you're not going to see that much big of a difference in terms of like the speed of your website and things like that. Because I've definitely moved from a few different web hosts, and yes, there was a little bit of speed increase, but it's not going to be as much as Cloudways. Cloudways is just on another level in terms of performance from what I've actually tested. And I think Cloudways is the perfect option for if you are a web agency, because you can create multiple servers for your clients. Like you may have clients in the United States, you may have clients in Australia or in Asia. You can create separate servers for them starting from around $10 per month, and you can have really high performance for them. So, I've had clients, ask me like, how can I speed up my website? And you can't just keep telling them, you need to optimize this and optimize that. It's not going to make too much of a difference. Like Cloudways is just like a more powerful engine, right? So yeah, I think it's a perfect option for agencies. And yeah, so I think you can also take a look at WPX as well as Kinsta. Kinsta is just going to be more expensive, and they do have a limitation for the websites. I've also tested the starter plan. The speed wasn't that great compared to Cloudways. It was good, but it wasn't great. WPX is probably faster in terms of speed. Again, they also have limitations in the websites, and WPX don't have too many server locations to choose from. I think they have 3 or 4 different locations, so you want to check with their chat support. The chat support is really good as well. So I think that's pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section down below. I do have a video showing you guys how to set up Cloudways and migrate your website, as well as set up your emails and also your SMTP, which is your transactional emails on Cloudways. So yeah, thank you guys, and see you guys in the next video.